Alrighty, Newsbake fans, we are back. This is Sports Over Serve. I got Phil over here. I'm Matt. Phil, how you doing today?
I'm doing a lot better than last week this time.
I feel so much better after a win. I came into work last week and I was just, I was trying to put on a happy face, but people could just tell what's wrong. And they said, what's wrong? So, the Cowboys lost, and then when's it going to be better? I go, until they win, it's not going to be any better.
Yeah.
So, it'll progressively get a little less worse, but I won't be happy again until the Cowboys win. So, I'm happy again.
Yeah, and for me, it seems like the week is a lot quicker week. When they win opposed to last week, you're having to wait every day. It drags on and on and on. You just want them to get back on the field. They say when your team loses, it feels like they'll never win again, and when your team wins, it feels like they'll never lose again.
For sure.
And that's kind of how I feel about it this week. I feel good about last week. Feel good going into this week. So it's a good time to be a Cowboys fan. So
yeah, it is. And what's the biggest thing you learned? I guess what did you learn from the game last week? What did you learn about the Cowboys or about the Redskins? I guess.
Yeah.
From last week.
I think I learned. I learned a lot from both sides, the Cowboys and the Redskins. I think what I was really interested in seeing, again, are our rookies. How are they going to perform? Dak, his first road test against the hated Redskins in D.C. at FedEx. How is he going to respond? And we talked a little bit about this on the post game. 22 for 30. 292 yards, but one of the things that sticks out to me that I'm sure everyone has seen this now is his consecutive throws without a pick, being a rookie, surpassing Warren Moon's record of consecutive passes without a pick. Yeah, so
wow.
He hasn't thrown a pick, but he hasn't thrown a touchdown. We could easily be 2-0. But we could easily be 0-2.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, he's a rookie. He's playing great right now. I don't think if you would have told me this 6 weeks ago that Dak would have been forced into the lineup and be performing the way he is, I would have taken it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and I'm happy with him. We saw a little bit more of what we saw in the preseason this game. He had over 100 passer rating, and that's what we need to see out of him. And I'm going to give this, let's talk about Zeke, because that's your boy, right? You've been backing him the whole time. I've been slow to give him praise, but he did show up, at least this game. He had 4 yards of carry, which you said he needed 4 to 4.5 for us to win, and so you were right on that. But he had 2 fumbles, 2 in one game, 2 fumbles. We lost one, and we recovered the other one, and it's a good thing we recovered, because do you remember what happened when we recovered that after that?
I think Alfred Morris
came in. He cleaned up. He swung a home run when he came in, and he scored the touchdown we needed to win the game.
Yeah.
And I don't care what Ezekiel does, what the yards per carry are, what the total yards, how many touchdowns he has. If he can't hold on to the football, if he's Tiki Barber, we're done.
Well, so I don't want to panic about these 2 Zeke fumbles. I think he actually...
the second one, he didn't even get hit.
Well, I know. And the second one's a lot more concerning to me than the first. The first one, Norman made a great play on the ball. The second one, that was very concerning, especially just watching the game and seeing him. He had the ball. He didn't have the ball currently. Yeah. He had the ball, and he's twisting around, trying to find the ball. And that, to me, he only fumbled twice at Ohio State. I want to say last year or ever. I can't remember, but fumbling, and I was telling you this Sunday when we were watching the game, he never fumbles. He never fumbles. And for him to
he never fumbles in college.
Well, yes. But I'm saying he protects the ball, right? Usually that carries over. He's very careful where he has the ball. Is that a good thing? Is that a good thing for him that, maybe this happened early? We still won the game. And he can take that with him to make sure he, is obviously really careful when he's carrying the ball. But I don't know. It was a scary thing. I'm glad Alfred came in and cleaned it up.
Yeah, Jeremy, Holly, Curtis, Roxanne, keep commenting. We hear you guys out there. We're going to get to questions, so make sure you put your comments out there. But what I think, because he didn't get hit on the second fumble, he just dropped it. I think it kind of rattled him that he fumbled, because you said he doesn't fumble, or he didn't fumble in college. He's like a quarterback. The quarterback has to be the quickest person to forget. Well, a running back that fumbles has to forget too. You have to hold on to that ball. You can't think about it and worry about that. You've got to run full steam ahead, but you got to hold that ball. And there's nothing worse than a running back that fumbles because, I mean, a quarterback throws an interception. There's so many things that can go wrong when you throw a football. But when you're running a football, you can't, and the line just loses faith in you. And you talked about the line liking to block for Alfred Morris runs more than Zeke runs. I mean, that's what it looks like to you. That might be why, because they're blocking for a veteran compared to blocking for a new rookie that's already. I mean,
the chosen one. Just he's granted everything, and I think that's a good point because when Morris ran in for his touchdown, I mean this is a goal line run, and he did not get touched. He didn't get touched by anyone. But yeah,
we got somebody already commented, P. Jackson, about we've got McFadden and Morris as established vets. What are we doing putting Zeke in there? It might be a little early. I mean, I don't know how McFadden's elbow or shoulder or whatever he hurts feeling after that cell phone. I don't think his carrier, I don't know if he can switch back over to the Cowboys if he's got a 2-year plan with somebody else or something.
Yeah, I mean he's. I really honestly believe Zeke is going to break out. I thought he was well on his way breaking out against Washington. The first half he looked really strong. Obviously he had those big issues in the second half. I could see this changing around for him fairly quickly. It only takes one game for him to kind of figure it out. And keep in mind, Cowboy. I know who was a gentleman that's very concerned about Zeke and whatnot. He didn't have P. Dot, talking to you especially here. He didn't have that many reps in the preseason, right? He played against Seattle a quarter and a half. Didn't get very many reps. And you guys, I mean,
but why? Why did they play him more?
Well, obviously they didn't want him to get hurt, right? And he was injured at the beginning of training camp. They didn't want to risk injury going into the season. But keep in mind, he didn't have the reps that a normal rookie running back would have had compared to Darius Jackson. Darius Jackson got a lot more runs in the preseason than what Zeke did. So it's going to take Zeke a couple of days. And I know I'm pretty heavy, and I'm biased. I'm heavily vested in Zeke because I've thought since they've drafted him, he was going to come in here and I mean light this offense on fire. He was going to be a catalyst of us looking more like 2014 opposed to 2015. So
now with Dak, he's still 0-0. He's no touchdowns, no interceptions, which is, I don't know if it's good or if it's bad, but next week he has to do something.
What do you mean do something? He won the game.
He did win the game, but he's got to. Well, I'm not saying do like I'm mad, but something's going to happen next week. I mean, we're playing the Bears. We're going to get into it in a little bit, but what did you think of his performance? I mean, I liked it. He had a rushing touchdown, so he did have a touchdown. It just wasn't a passing touchdown. He was 22 for 30, I think, so he's about 70%, and he's back over that 100 passer rating. So everybody says, I mean, you listen to any sportscast, he looks like a veteran quarterback.
Yeah.
Even quarterbacks are saying that he looks like a veteran quarterback. That's a big deal.
He's thrown 2 touchdown passes. They just weren't caught. I mean, he's doing what you want. Last week, 22 for 30. He's playing great. Don't throw anything at me here, but I thought Jason Garrett for the most part I thought the play calling was pretty decent last week. It put Dak in position to make easy throws, comfortable throws for Dak, getting him out in space where he thrives. Wide open to Witten, Swain, those guys.
He does. I think it's easy for Jason Garrett because just like Romo, he's very good in the play action.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yeah.
And he's better than Romo at faking that play action because I'm following the ball every time, and it looks like the running back's taking it. And it might be a little bit more because they're not expecting Dak to pass. The defense isn't. Yeah. But he's like a veteran. Watching some of the things he does is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't disagree with you. I think what I can take away from, going back to your original question, what I take away from Dak is that he does look seasoned. And if we had to ride, we know, I think we all have come to grips that when Romo's healthy, Romo's going to be back in the saddle leading this team. I don't care what the record is. I think Romo when he's ready to come back. But Dak, let's say Romo comes back and he's out quickly again, or it doesn't work out with Romo. Dak, I feel comfortable enough. What I've seen over the first 2 games, that I'm comfortable with Dak taking us, throughout the season. I think with Dak we can make the playoffs. We could still contend for the division. But I think Romo, and we'll get into Romo, Dak probably a little later, but I think that's the difference between the two. But Dak has done everything you want a rookie quarterback to do. He cannot, yes, he could have a couple touchdown passes, but I think he threw them. They just weren't caught. And
okay. Now, well, let's hit this real quick because, I mean, not that there's not a lot to talk about. This is our star player, but Dez. He was targeted 12 times. He caught 7 balls.
Yes.
I think that we fixed the problem because 12 targets is plenty for Dez. Not that it's too much or too little. I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to throw, I mean, Dak should be throwing about 30 to 40 times. So about, let's say, 35 times. A third of those should be somewhere in the vicinity of Dez. And I didn't see any amazing things. I didn't see any bad things. But I think that's the perfect amount he should be targeted.
Yeah, the first pass right out of the gate is to Dez, I believe. And they were, I mean, it was a known mission that they wanted to target Dez, get him involved early. And again, the Redskins just... Norman was ready to, line up against him. All they do is just move him in motion, put him on Breeland's side, and let him go to work on Breeland. I don't know why the Redskins just will not match up Norman, because Norman actually played Dez pretty tough.
Well, let's go into that now. Let's go a little bit into the NFC East, because that's what they were talking about, because the Redskins play the Giants. And now they've gone out and said that Norman is going to be matched up against Beckham.
Yeah.
And which is a weird time for them to make that statement, because this is the one game where they could leave Josh Norman at left, because it doesn't matter who they bring. If they bring Odell Beckham or Victor Cruz, I mean, that's like 1A and 1B. I mean, obviously Odell Beckham is the number one receiver there, but it's not like you're throwing trash out there with Victor Cruz. I mean, he's a Pro Bowl caliber receiver. He's been in the end zone enough to have a signature salsa dance that everybody knows about. And Shepard, the rookie from OU, is no slouch either. So it's like the one game that you could actually leave Norman on the left, because it doesn't make a difference. In the first game against Pittsburgh, Antonio Brown's the best receiver in the game by far. Not by far, but by far. By far, his team, he's the best. Yeah. And then you come to Dallas, and Dez is the best receiver by far on his team. And then you go to New York, and you're like, oh, we're definitely keeping him on ODB.
Yeah, and that doesn't make sense. I mean, I think what you're saying is the Giants have probably from top to bottom, especially from the top 3 receivers, probably better top 3 receivers than the Cowboys or the Steelers, at least with the Steelers.
The core, they're top 3.
Why make the stand now? But I think it goes back to your point last week on last week's podcast, is you have dumb people coaching that team, because I don't understand what they're doing. And that kind of goes down to even with Kirk Cousins and some of the decisions, boneheaded decisions that they have. I mean,
they're already talking about maybe putting Colton.
Well, you know what? That's not a bad decision.
Hey, he beat us.
He did in 2014.
That was the worst.
Yeah, so I mean, that team, that's going to be a good matchup. I'm actually going to be pulling for the Redskins that week.
Well, of course.
Yeah, but they're both NFCs.
No, I'm just saying to get us a better play, because they're 0-2 and Giants are 2-0. But the Phillies also 2-0. Which is, it's the most, they're 2-0, but they're playing 2 of the worst 5 teams in the first 2 weeks. They played the Cleveland Browns, and RG3 got injured in the game.
Yeah, the second half, yeah.
Yeah, so they're only playing him for a half, so then you're changing up your whole game plan, and then they have to play the Bears, who might be the worst team in the league.
Do you think
they're awful?
That bad?
Awful. I mean, with Cutler, they're bad. Without Cutler, you know who they're putting in.
Brian Hoyer, yeah.
You remember his last game?
Yeah, it was in the playoffs last year, wasn't it?
You know how many interceptions he had?
Probably
4.
4 interceptions.
1 per quarter, basically, is what he got. He had 130. I mean, they got shut out. Mm-hmm. Shut out. If you make it to the playoffs, you should not get shut out. And that's who they're putting in. With Cutler, I mean, we'll get into that game here in a little bit, but...
Well, let's say this. So, we're talking about Brian Hoyer, obviously being a downgrade. I'm not so sure that's a downgrade. And what worries me about...
You don't like Smoking Joe?
Well, what worries me about Sunday, and one of our... Jeremy Hedgemont brought this up in the news feed here, is do we see this as a potential trap game, right? So you just told me, you're on the record right now saying that the Bears are the worst team in the NFL. We know their starting quarterback is not going to play. It looks, they said in 2 or 3 days, I don't know the extent, but they're pretty much ruling him out for 2 to 3 weeks, Jay Cutler. So we know Brian Hoyer is going to play. and we know how his last start went. So is this we're playing at home. It's not like I think Alabama in the last 2 years, the Crimson Tide, yes.
Stop
Alabama,
bringing up college stats.
But it's no. Alabama has won more at AT&T Stadium in the last 2 years than the Cowboys have.
So stupid.
It is stupid that they've won more than the Cowboys. So it's not like we're just this awesome team at home. So I think to Jeremy's point, are we walking into a trap game?
We've got 3 trap games this year.
Okay.
The first one is this coming week with the Bears. The second one is Tampa Bay on December 18th. And the third one is the Lions the next week, the day after Christmas, on the 26th. I'm way more worried about the trap games because back-to-back and near the end of the season, and we're going to be looking towards the playoffs. I'm way more worried about those than this one. And they're all home games. All 3 of those are home games. This one, God, I was looking up stuff for the Bears. I didn't recognize one name on their defense. Not even one.
Urlacher doesn't play for him anymore?
No, Urlacher does not play for. Yeah, that's bad. If you don't recognize one name, even from like a college standout or something, from the team, I mean, God, their general management is awful. And I mean, I'm a PTI lover. I love Kornheiser and Wilbon. I mean, Wilbon's like digging his head in the sand on this team. He's like, I just can't wait to get away from this team.
Yeah, I mean, I just worry just because how we played in big games, and actually the last 2 times we played the Bears at home, I think they've blown us out. Actually, 3 out of the last 4 games because there was that Monday night game.
I was in Indianapolis, taking an interview.
So I think 2014 was the last time we played them, and we played them in Chicago, and we were up big early. I think it was a Thursday night game. Then they crept back in. Skandrick had a big interception. But you're talking about the last 4 games the Bears have won. They find a way to beat us and beat us badly. So I think that's just something to worry about. I just say it. Be cautious.
Who's the running back? Who's the running back? Exactly. Nobody knows.
Jeremy Langford. I had him on my fantasy team last year.
I lost. No, you lost. And Alshon Jeffrey is still questionable.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the only.
What's the spread on Sunday?
7.5.
7.5. Okay. Well, they give 3 for home, so that's right there. So that's 4.5.
I'm only scared just because Dak hasn't thrown any touchdowns yet. Mm-hmm. But dude, I've got this at a blowout.
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this defense.
You want to break it down a little bit?
Well, yeah, because this defense, what worries me is by the end of the game against the Redskins, we had 0 pass rush. I want to say what we ended was with 4 tackles. Essentially, even though they're hybrid players.
Not 4 tackles like Statbook. Like, we had 4 defensive tackles
as our defensive line. Our defensive ends both of our ends were the Crawford.
But hey, Tyrone Crawford got a sack when he was a DB.
Well, he did, because we have had no pressure. Yeah, we had both Crawfords at the end, and then we had Collins and McLean in the interior. And we're generating 0 pass rush. I know we got a sack here and there. But that worries me. Ryan Davis, we signed him last week. He needs to get on the field as soon as possible. Lawrence, we needed him last week or a couple weeks ago. Like, he needs to get here.
And Tapper's not going to be back. As of right now, he's not going to be back.
He didn't even practice today, so he's not coming back this week.
Yeah.
So we're in bad shape with our line. Then we obviously find out about Randy Gregory. He's not coming back. There was some hope he'd be able to come here week 5, week 6. But his season is gone. Should we talked about McFadden earlier, he should be starting. Should we be looking for a trade or something? Because I'm really concerned about this defensive end.
This is what I'll tell you. So our defense is, we need some. I'll give you stats on Chicago's offense. And this is with Cutler, and they're not going to have Cutler. They're 31st in yards. Okay. 29th in pass yards, 25th in rush yards. That's with Cutler. They don't have Cutler.
I'm telling you, Hoyer will be an upgrade. I'm telling you. They're going to be an upgrade.
His last game was 4 interceptions.
In the playoffs.
Okay. They're the worst offense right now because they were second worst with Cutler. Mm-hmm. You have to downgrade them at least 1 spot if they lose their starting quarterback, whether the talent or whatever, but they have to totally change quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And that just takes time with the timing with the receivers, even with the timing getting back to your running back and handing off the ball and the snap count with the offensive line. You can just imagine the penalties they're going to have on false start just from a new cadence. Mm-hmm. And This is going to be a blowout. The one thing I want to watch for is Mo Clay versus Alshon Jeffrey. He's got now this. Not that he didn't have anybody to guard in Deshaun Jackson and ODB, but in the first 2 weeks. But this is a big receiver, and let's see what Mo Clay looks like against a big receiver, because those weren't big receivers. Mm-hmm. Those were, I mean, Deshaun Jackson's like 4'3", and then ODB's maybe 6 foot, maybe 5'11". This is a big receiver. I think he's 6'3", 6'4", and Alshon Jeffrey. He's fast. He's got good hands, and he can run routes. I want to see what Mo Clay looks like against him.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a tough matchup. I mean, Alshon Jeffries has killed us in the past. And, I mean, Claiborne is our best corner. I don't think there's any doubt now.
No.
Scandrick, I'm really worried about his health. I'm not sure. Did he practice today? I think he has 2 hamstring injuries now. He has both legs.
How many hamstrings? He's going to come out with 3 hamstrings next week. I'm like, you only have 2. You hurt both of them?
Claiborne, this is going to be a good challenge for him. If there's any threat on the Bears' offense, it's going to be him. So it's going to be an interesting game. I feel good about our chances. Obviously, maybe this is a game Zeke breaks out. I feel really good about that. But we'll see. We'll see.
I'm going to let you want me to go first. I'm going to guess the line. Not guess the line. I'm going to guess the score. Do you want to go first or you want to go second?
I can go first.
All right. Give me what you think the score is going to be.
I think Dak's going to get his first touchdown pass. I think he may have a couple. I think Zeke is going to have probably another touchdown. I think Zeke breaks 100 yards for the first time.
Okay.
And I think Dak will probably have less yards this week than he did against Washington, maybe about 250 to 275, but I think he'll have 1 or 2 touchdown passes. I think it'll be a good game overall. We win 28-17.
28-17?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going full-on blowout. I don't think this is a trap game. I think this is Dak's breakout. Mm-hmm. This is where he's going to say, hey, let me get a couple touchdowns in there, like you said. 34-13. I just think they're terrible, Philip. They're awful.
That bad?
Their offense is so bad, and they're now putting in a new quarterback. If Hoyer's, I'm not going to argue that Hoyer might be better than Cutler, but putting him in on a just 1 week to get ready with the first team offense, it's not like their defense is good. It's middle of the pack. And part of it being middle of the pack is just because they're in blowouts, so teams aren't even trying. They're just rushing the ball because they're like, we're up so much, we don't even have to try to get yards now. And, I mean, teams could be just killing the Bears. I say 34-13. I don't see any way that they can score points on us, and I don't see any way they can stop us from scoring. I think Dez is going to want to go out there and score. I think Witten, he hasn't been great this year. I think he wants a few more passes thrown his way. I just think we run up and down the field on these guys. I'm still worried about either Tampa or Detroit. I pick both of them as wins for us. But like you were saying, trap games, there's always one out there. Yeah. Tampa does worry me a little bit. Yeah.
Well, I know we feel pretty. I don't want to jump ahead, but I think we feel pretty confident with the Bears game that we're going to win this game.
People are agreeing more with me than you. I mean, we got 34-3 by Mike. Marcus is saying 40-10, and we got Pedro out there saying the same thing. I mean, we got a lot of guys thinking out there it's going to be a blowout.
Well, you know what?
They might be homers, though. You're not a homer, are you, Philip?
I'm a little bit of a homer. But I think what concerns... I saw the Eagles game, and I don't know if the Eagles are bad or good, but I saw the Eagles win by a couple touchdowns. Maybe they're both bad, and we don't know that. What if they are both bad? But I don't know. With me, I'm not so much... I think we're going to beat the Bears, but talking about trap games and looking ahead, I think what worries me is that Niners game. That Niner game scares me.
That might be a good trap game to watch out for. That's on the road. Yeah. We're going... Even though we're not as far, but we're still going Central to West Coast time. Yeah. And it's just weird when you change time zones, especially over, one time zone. Yeah. When you're changing that. I'll tell you this, though. Phillies sucks. And them being 2-0.
Well, they won.
They're 2-0.
They won 29-14 against the Bears.
They played
on the road.
They played two of the worst 5 teams in the league for those first 2 games. The Browns suck. And the Bears... I think the Bears are the worst team in the NFL. Okay. I really do. And they're just awful, Philip. They're awful. And the Browns, they had a 20-2 lead on the Ravens and lost. You don't lose in the NFL with a 22. This isn't college.
Well, with the Giants beating the Saints last week, and they're 2-0, and they play with the Redskins this week. So this is almost not a must win.
So you're going to put your Redskins shirt on for that game and hope they win.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if everyone obviously feels really confident that we're going to beat the Bears, then this almost is a must win where we just have to have this W just to stay on track, because I'm not sure the Giants, they won again. And they have, I'm sure they're favored against the Reds because I think they're playing at home. So
3.5 or 4.5.
Yes, and they're playing in New York, so they're going to be favored. Or they are favored. So I don't know. Let's win this game.
Yeah, I think the Redskins are going to come out with a vengeance. They're 0-2. They can't. If they start out 0-3 and 0-2 in the division, they're done. So I think they're going to come out and get a win. So I think they're going to be 1-2. The Giants are going to be 2-1. Mm-hmm. We're going to come out and get 2-1, and then the Eagles. Who do they play?
I'm not sure who the Eagles play this week.
I can't even remember.
I'm sure.
They're probably playing someone trash. I don't know.
Well, no, they're playing Pittsburgh. They're playing Pittsburgh.
We'll have 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 1-2.
Yeah, so they're going to have their first real test. They haven't, obviously, if you feel that the Browns and the Bears are the lower class, obviously the Steelers are not that. Now, if Philly pulls off a win against Steelers, then we need to be really worried about
Is
Philly.
it in Philly or is it in Pittsburgh?
I'm not sure. But I think either way,
Pittsburgh's winning.
Either way. So let's say the schedule's looking good here the next couple of weeks, hopefully for the Cowboys to rattle off a couple wins. Are you still? I know you.
I thought you said you were worried about the 49ers.
Well, I am, but we should win both of those games, and I think we will split Cincy and Green Bay. I'm not sure which one will win or lose, but I think we can easily split that. So, are you still if we're 4-2, Dak's going to keep playing into the bye week?
If we're 4-2, yeah, we need to keep Dak in.
Over Romo. If
Romo's ready to go for Philly,
Green
especially
Bay.
putting Dak up against another rookie quarterback, I think a win in that would give him just even more confidence to say, yeah, I'm the best rookie quarterback in this draft. Mm-hmm. And we've got another rookie quarterback coming in and playing in Jacoby Brissett, because Jimmy G's injured for the Patriots, and he was drafted about 20 spots before Dak.
Yeah, so he was drafted before Dak. Yeah,
Patriots got to be looking at it like, man, we can have Dak Prescott right now. I think we have to, because looking to the future, especially, and if I thought Romo could stay healthy, yes, I would play Romo. I just don't think he can stay. I don't think Romo could stay healthy for more than 3 or 4 games. Mm-hmm. But you think we should put Romo in? When do you want to put Romo in?
When he's ready.
When he's ready.
When he's ready. That, like I've said this before, we can make the playoffs with Dak.
What about 5-1? 5-1.
Romo would have beat the Giants week 1.
So Romo would be 6-0.
He's done it. He started off the season.
So let me get this straight. 5-1
going into the bye.
And then we're playing Philly. You want Romo to take over a 5-1 team?
Yes, Matt. Matt, this team with Dak will do well. We can make the playoffs. Everyone thinks that this team and this offense, we have a lot of work to do on the defense. We need to make a trade with something to get some pressure. We need to figure something. Yeah. I know we've had Greg Hardy.
5-1.
If we're 5-1, Romo
beats the Red Rifle.
Romo,
and he beats Aaron Rodgers.
Romo is the only shot to make a deep playoff run and potentially a Super Bowl run is with Romo. So I know we bring it up every week, and I just wanted to get a pulse check on you.
I'm going to quote Kevin Durant.
Okay.
You're an idiot.
Okay.
5-1. He beats Dalton and Rodgers back to back.
Bradford beat Rodgers, so who cares?
When?
Sunday night. The Vikings beat the Packers. So
yeah.
So the Packers aren't as great. Since they lost last year, I can't remember who they played.
5-1. You cannot change quarterbacks.
You will with Romo. Okay. It's Tony's team.
Well, let us know what y'all think. Everybody's saying Romo's still injured. Don't even think about putting him back in.
I'm saying we're gonna have to have this discussion, guys, in a couple weeks when Romo is healthy and ready.
One thing I don't like though is Jerry talking about it like Jerry Jones. Just say no comment or something. We don't have to talk about that until it comes. Why do you need to comment on it? And why do you need to, whether he says something good about Dak or good about Romo, one of them is going to get their butt hurt. Why even comment on it? Why not just say, we'll talk about that when Romo's ready?
Let it play out.
Yeah.
No, I agree. That's probably the best smart approach. But
And Jerry just has to go to Romo and say, hey, look, this is what I'm going to say.
Well, I think the logic behind that is any thought of a quarterback controversy or them deciding who's going to start, you nip that in the bud right away. There's no discussion. They know Tony, when he's healthy, it's his team.
Okay.
But I know Romo's not healthy, but in a couple weeks he will be. And
in a couple of weeks he might be. Let's say, don't say
will be. Romo is a quick healer. As quickly as he gets injured, he gets healed. So he's
as quickly as he gets healed, he gets injured.
Hey, he threw 25 passes in warm up at FedEx on Sunday before
wow.
he had a back brace on a week ago. So he's making progress.
So maybe we can ask like the other team, like when we play football, be like, guys, Romo, he's still like you can't see the brace, but it's still on there. Just don't hit him.
No, of course they're going to hit him. What I'm saying is when he's ready,
he's done.
He's not done.
He's done.
Roman's
but
going to
hey,
take us to
everybody out there listening, make sure we're going to talk more about all the NFL. If you're a Rangers fan, make sure you get on the podcast. It's Sports Overserve. You can check us on Facebook, sportsoverserve.com. We're on iTunes. We're on Play Store. We're everywhere. Thank you again, Newsbag, for letting us do this broadcast here. And until next time, Phil, how about them Cowboys?
Yes, sir.